everyone, my name is Dani from Dani's Book Corner, and today, as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be doing a book unhaul today, because I've done like one book haul, and I probably will do one soon, so I figured before I get new books, I might as well get rid of some old books that I probably won't read or that I've read and I didn't enjoy, and I just want to get out of my space. So, let's get into it. The first book I am unhauling is Lux Beginnings by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I just honestly don't have any interest in reading this book. I think some people were still talking about it at the time that I bought this. I got it from Book Outlet, so I got a good deal on it. But still, I just don't really have an interest in reading it. I know it's about like aliens and stuff. I like the I Am Number 4 / Lorien Legacy series way better than, like, I don't know if this would be as interesting. I might pick it up again. I'm going to probably donate them. I'm not going to sell them or anything. So, yeah. I just don't really have much interest in reading this book. The next book I am unhauling is Sarah's Key by Tatiana de Rosnay. I had to read this book for school. I just didn't enjoy it. It takes place in France during World War II, and it actually chronicles about the roundup of Jews in, I believe it was in Paris. I forget exactly it's called, but you can look it up. The only good thing about this book was that it gave insight into this situation, because I was not aware of it at all. But the problem is I just did not like the main character, who is a journalist. I did not like her perspective, because I found like her perspective in her life to be very kind of like whiny, and like I just didn't like her perspective. But the perspective of, like, it goes back in time to the girl who's going through this, whose name is Sarah, I found that much more interesting, and I would have wished that the book had a lot more of Sarah's perspective, because I found that way more interesting. Because I think for about half the book it was going between, I believe the reporter's name was Julia. It was going between Julia and Sarah's perspectives, but then Sarah's just stopped, and the rest of the book is just Julia's perspective. And I was like, And I just felt that some of the things that Julia was going through in her life at the time didn't really go along with the gravity of the situation that was going on with Sarah in France. So I just felt like Julia's perspective took away from the gravity of the situation. The next two books I am unhauling are The Scorch Trials and The Death Cure, both by James Dashner. I did not really like the Maze Runner trilogy. I don't even have the first book, The Maze Runner. I believe I have to have it on my Nook or something. I don't have the physical copy of it. But I just wasn't a huge fan of these books. So I don't know why I really had them on my shelf still. So I'm just going to get rid of them. The next book I am unhauling is Charm and Strange by Stephanie Cohen. Can you tell I haven't really looked at this book in a while, because I don't know who the author is at all? I might have talked about this book a really long time ago on my channel, but I just didn't like it. I thought it was a really weird book. I don't understand it at all. I don't know why it has an award. Maybe it's just not my cup of tea, but I just don't like this book. It doesn't need to be on my shelf anymore, so goodbye. The next book I am unhauling, which is quite heavy, is Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. I thought that this was going to be a really cool, interesting book. I thought I was going to be really into it, but I just feel that it works better as two separate books, and it follows like the life of this one girl who's just getting her first novel published, and then like actually has her legitimate novel. So I just feel like the two perspectives don't really go together all that well. And I just not into this writing style of this book. I'm just not into it. I couldn't really get into it. I got maybe 100 pages in and I just couldn't get into it. And it's also really heavy. My goodness, why is it so heavy? The next book I am unhauling, which you might have guessed, is The Summer I Turned Pretty Bind-Up Trilogy by Jenny Han, which includes The Summer I Turned Pretty, That's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. I just didn't like the first book of this thing. The premise of this book is basically a love triangle that takes place in the summer of this girl and these two guys that she's known for like the majority of her life. I just not into the contemporary love triangle thing. Not into it. And I read ahead and I know which one she ends up with, and I just feel like it's a lot of drama and I'm not into it. No. The next book I am unhauling is Switched by Amanda Hocking. The reason I'm unhauling this book is because I have a bind-up of the 3 books in the trilogy, so I don't really need the first book, although it is so pretty. Like, look how pretty it is. The next book I am unhauling is Endgame by James Frey. My friend recommended this book to me a really long time ago. Like, I did a massive book haul a long time ago, and I still haven't read a lot of those books that I got in that book haul. and this is one of them. I just don't have any interest in reading this book at all. Like, she recommended it to me, I didn't really know what it's about, and I just don't have an interest in reading it. So, goodbye. Next book Ironman Hauling is Dueled by Elsie Chapman. Yes, Elsie Chapman. I started reading it, I got maybe halfway through, just not into it, don't like it. I do not like the main character at all in this book. I feel like she's just very, like, she doesn't want anyone to help her, but I feel like she takes the strong female character idea and makes it to the extent that this character is not relatable, and she's just too closed off to everyone else. And it doesn't exactly make sense as to why she's closed off so much. Like, she's very independent, but she doesn't let anyone help her at all. Like, she's just closed off, independent, but not in a good way, if you understand what I mean. So, I just don't like this book. So, goodbye. Another book that I will be unhauling, if you have followed me on my channel, you probably know this is coming, is Paper Towns by John Green. Just can't get into any John Green's books. Don't like this one. I thought I liked it when I first finished it, but nah. No, I was lying to myself. Did not like it. So, goodbye. The next book I will be unhauling is The Selection Stories by Kiera Cass. I believe there's a bigger bind-up of a lot of the selection stories, and I'm not really into the selection anymore, so I don't really need this book on my shelf. I'm pretty sure there's a bigger bind-up, but I'll check, and if they don't have these two other novella stories in that big bind-up, I will keep this, but if they do, then I'll probably get rid of this. The next book I'm unhauling is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I got this book a while ago. I might have gotten it from Book Outlet. I just don't have any interest in reading this book anymore. I've also heard that Orson Scott Card is really not the best person in the world, although I try to separate like the art and the artist, unless it's like a really bad person, you know what I mean? I just don't have interest in reading this book at all. Like, this was, I kind of wanted to read it like when the movie came out, but after that, nah. Another book that I'll be unhauling is Clemente, The Passion and Grace of Baseball's Last Hero by David Marinas. I just had to read this book for, like, actually, of all things, I had to read this for Spanish coming into sophomore year. So I'm just not a baseball person. I just don't really need this book at all. So I'm gonna get rid of it because I don't need it. There's probably someone else out there that can enjoy it more than I did. And that, guys, is all the books that I'll be unhauling. Leave a comment down below if you want to see me do a bookshelf tour in the future. Maybe after I unhaul these books and like after I organize my shelves a bit better. Maybe you want to see that. I hope you all have a fabulous day. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. And I guess I'll just see you guys all later. Bye!